What's up, guys? Welcome to my review of the entire season of Moon Knight. We just got the final episode, episode 6 this morning. I've watched 5 and 6 back to back just about an hour and a half ago, and now I'm here to talk about all 6 episodes together. This will be a spoiler-filled review. If you've not seen the show, obviously don't watch this review. Go check it out on Disney Plus, and then come back and join me. So I was lucky enough to check out the first 4 episodes before the show premiered, and I did like the show. It certainly had some darker elements to it that I liked. I enjoyed the costume. I enjoyed the concept of these multiple personalities within this new protagonist, this new hero in the MCU. Certainly had some questions, certainly had a lot of things that I was curious how they were going to wrap up or even introduce in 2 more episodes, but overall, I was on board. Now, after seeing the complete package, I think I figured out what my overall issue is with these Disney Plus shows. And for context, I have not watched Loki and I have not watched Hawkeye. I've not watched those 2 yet, but every other one I have seen. And I haven't really gotten any big emotions, any big joy out of any of these shows thus far. Some of them have been cool. Some episodes are better than others. Some shows are certainly better than others. But I think what my overall issue is that Moon Knight really solidified for me is that I don't really think I like this 6-episode miniseries structure that they're implementing on every single one of these shows. I don't understand for the life of me why different characters, different stories, different worlds aren't getting different sized shows depending on what story they're trying to tell. Something like What If, something like WandaVision, that's a very limited concept. Obviously that should be a bit shorter, a bit more contained. Something like this, or even something like Falcon and Winter Soldier, it kind of felt like they were artificially squishing it to 6 episodes. And by the end of it, my experience ends up being some kind of a weird mix between it's too long for a movie, but it's not quite long enough for a whole series. And so by the end of it, with this one, 6 episodes in, it felt like there should have been much more explored. It felt like there should have been diving a little bit more deep into some of these characters. It should have been a little bit more fleshed out into a full-on series, and it just kind of feels like this sample size. Like, hey guys, here's a new hero, here's most of what's going on, and we're going to tease you with things that might come in the future. And that's kind of how I've felt by the end of every single one of these shows at this point. WandaVision was there to set up what's going to happen in Doctor Strange 2. Falcon and Winter Soldier was a little sample size to set up the eventual Captain America 4. When you have a story like this where the main character is 2 or more characters in and of himself, plus you have this Greek god, you have the mythology of all of that you have to introduce, you've got Ethan Hawke's villain and his ties to these Greek gods, his plan, everything going on that he's trying to build up throughout these episodes. Plus you've got drama going on between the main character and the wife of one of his personalities. Plus you have this whole episode where it's all inside of his head and they're battling it out a la Identity. And then it's just setting up all these things that aren't really fully answered or come to a full satisfying conclusion by the end of 6 episodes. And so by the end of it, my main question is, why make it 6 episodes then? Just give us a full series. Something like WandaVision makes 100% sense to have on Disney Plus. That's something that would never be able to exist in the movie theaters. But some of these other concepts that they're forcing into these little 6-episode extended miniseries just feel like they should be a movie. Like Falcon and Winter Soldier, everything that happened in that felt like they could have done that in a pretty damn good 2.5-hour movie. Moon Knight feels like it should have a full-on series. So much going on in this, so many things to introduce, so many different characters. I don't think 6 episodes made sense at all for this character. And so while Disney Plus certainly opened up a lot of opportunities for Marvel, a lot of different avenues for the MCU to tell different stories, to build up certain things, to tell stories that wouldn't make sense in the theater format, or to, build some things up and explore things a bit further that they won't have time to do in the theater format that will benefit you as a viewer to go and check out these things. So when you see Doctor Strange 2, you understand what's going on with Wanda. But at this point, I can't help but feel like they're taking this opportunity, this avenue that they have built with Disney Plus, and they're kind of just using it as like this junk drawer for all these stories that they don't really want to bother themselves with trying to figure out how to do it in a theatrical movie format. Now, with all that being said, guys, I do have positive things to say about this season. I don't mean to start off with all of my rant-worthy thoughts, but that's kind of the main theme of my thoughts of this season overall, is just it's not enough. Now, moving on to things that I do really like, I really like the concept of the Moon Knight character. I like the personalities and the battling personalities and the different costumes that each personality has whenever he turns into the heroic side. I think that Steven was a very entertaining character. I think Mark was a really interesting character. And by the end of it, especially the 2 episodes that I did not get a chance to screen, I really liked how it became about their relationship, about how they are going to live together within the mind of this one man, how they're going to figure out how to be this cohesive unit, all the while building up this pretty obvious setup that there's a third personality they don't even realize is there, which is obviously what's going to turn into season 2 or whatever they decide to do to continue this. Is how are they going to deal with this guy that is now fully under the control of this god that has all but enslaved them into this Moon Knight service. So I really liked how it turned out to be exactly what they described it as. It's like Fight Club meets Indiana Jones. There was this adventure aspect. There was certainly this fantastical elements that got more prevalent as the series went on, but that core Fight Club battle between the personalities was the most intriguing part of the show to me. And I think that Oscar Isaac especially did a damn good job at portraying all these different personalities, having different accents, having different cadences to his voice, even just physical mannerisms. He did a great job at playing one character who has now 3 characters. I absolutely love the costume. I love it both when it's Moon Knight and when it's Mr. Knight. I think that they're some of the coolest costumes that I have seen in the MCU thus far, especially Moon Knight. Like, I'm not really a big guy when it comes to hot toys and big expensive figurines, but if they have a badass Moon Knight one, I might be adding that to cart. Ethan Hawke's performance I thought was great. He was somebody that I was really intrigued with the first 4 episodes, and I was even more intrigued with what exactly his plan was going to end up being and what kind of a physical threat he was going to end up being for Moon Knight. I love Ethan Hawke. I think he's a very underrated actor. Anytime he pops up in anything, it perks me up. I think he adds value to anything that he's in, whether the actual product is good or not. He is always great, and that really holds true here. He is awesome as the villain. I don't think that the villain's motivations or the villain's story is all that interesting, though. Unfortunately, I don't think that the writing, the development of his character matches the performance. And that's just something that's a traditional issue that people have with the MCU. They put all of their time and their energy and their focus into their heroes. Those are the guys that get the good writing. Those are the guys that get all the development, all of the different character arcs, and all of the focus, with few exceptions. But for the most part, Marvel tends to kind of sidestep their villains. They're there just to be this presence that propels forward the character arc of the hero, and that is also something that holds true here in Moon Knight. By the end of it, when you just have Ethan Hawke trying to give himself up to be this vessel or to be this ultimate devotee of this other god, and he gets this little scepter that turns into this ancient Egyptian little axe. To me, for all of the intrigue that the first 4 episodes built up about what this guy's plan is actually going to be, why is he going to be this gigantic threat that Moon Knight has to take out, the answer to that question wasn't really all that intriguing to me. And it didn't really upset me at all that the post-credit scene takes out his character forever, because there's not really anything more to do with him. I love Ethan Hawke. I would love to see him return just to have Ethan Hawke there, but his character is a villain that I'm probably going to forget the second this camera goes off. I also enjoyed the element that Layla brought in. She's the wife of the Mark personality, and of course she's there just to kind of create this chaos in the first 4 episodes and create all this confusion within the character of Moon Knight about who's this person, where one personality has no idea who she is, the other one has this strained marriage with her. She has no idea that the person she's loved and been married to for so long is multiple people, and now they're in this big larger-than-life situation. By the end of the series, she becomes kind of a hero herself. I don't have any comic book knowledge, so I don't know who she was supposed to be, or if that was a gigantic Moon Knight character and this huge surprise, this big, awesome reveal for comic book fans. For me, it was like, okay, cool. She'll fight alongside him. I like her character. Glad that she can tag along with whatever we get after this. The humor, the family-friendly tone, the jovial side of things of this show, by the end of it, I really wish they would have just left that out. It was something that even 4 episodes in, I kind of felt like just it's part of that MCU formula that I wish we could get past. This thing starts off really dark and gritty. There is people that are killed. There is blood in this show. I mean, it's not really extreme, but for the first episode especially, I was like, wow, They're actually going a bit darker. They're actually pushing the envelope a bit for what you expect to see in a Marvel show or a Marvel movie. But that humor is what always tethers it back to that MCU tone that I just wish we could have more variety with. There's times where the MCU brand of humor is great. There's times where it's a big laugh in the theater or a really good wink and nod moment at the audience that kind of lightens up the tone a bit in some appropriate spots. But I just feel like this show would have been so much more satisfying for me personally if it had stuck with that darker tone and it had actually went a bit further with it, and if it fully committed to it. I feel like there was so much opportunity there to make this whole concept about multiple personalities and a person who is fractured within himself and almost like imprisoned within himself, as well as being imprisoned in this devotion to Khonshu, that could have lent itself really well to some darker storytelling in the MCU. And they just kind of dabbled in it here and there. Finally, let's talk about Jake Lockley. So this is a personality that was introduced in the post-credit scene of episode 6, the last frame of the show, and presumably setting up a storyline for a season 2 or whatever they decide to do with this, to where he is going to be the one carrying out all of Khonshu's bidding while Steven and Mark feel like they are out of that servitude, and that's going to be the conflict that's set up for season 2. Now, while that is intriguing of a setup for something further, going back to my initial point, I feel like that should have been something revealed halfway through the first season, and the last half of the season could have been really about that. I don't feel like it made sense to cut the story off there, especially with the fact that they were so obvious with the fact that they were showing our hand with that. I mean, they were teasing that. They were directly stating that this was going to happen all throughout the series. I have zero comic book knowledge of this character. I have no preconceived knowledge that there was a third personality. There might be 7 personalities for all I fucking know. But it was obvious to me, just with the information the show was giving me, that there was going to be at least one more person, and that was eventually going to be revealed by the finale. And what frustrated me most of all was the way that they decided to reveal this character. There's this whole epic fight going down between Ethan Hawke's character and Moon Knight. Now Steven and Mark are working together. They're stronger than they've ever been, and they're kicking ass. And then Ethan Hawke gets the upper hand and sticks his little scepter, his little Egyptian axe, right into the chest plate of Moon Knight. He's down for the count, and then you get that little Fight Club moment, and he blacks out and then wakes up and he has won. Ethan Hawke is down for the count. He now has the upper hand, and Layla's like, dude, what the fuck was that? And that's all we get. We don't get a badass action sequence where this third version of Moon Knight comes out with a whole different costume and just lays waste to Ethan Hawke, make us go, oh shit, who is this guy? None of that. Blackout, dick tease, see you at the post-credit scene. And when they reveal him in the post-credit scene, it was like, yeah, obviously. Like, was there anybody that watched this show when Oscar Isaacs turned his head around that said, oh, no? We were all like, duh, no shit. Why didn't you reveal him in an action sequence? Why? Why would you do that? That was the moment where I kind of fell out of love with whatever was going on in the finale. I was pretty on board for it. I'm not really a big kaiju guy, but okay, we got kaijus fighting. We've got Moon Knight on the street level doing some fights. There's some epic stuff going on. Where's this all gonna lead? And then the moment they have to really just punch us in the face with something badass, they totally cop out. And I don't know if that was a budgetary constraint. I don't know if that was a laziness thing where they're like, we could probably do this badass epic action sequence here in the finale, but let's just do a blackout. Fuck it, that's cheaper. And so while on paper the concept of next time on Moon Knight, we're gonna be battling out a third personality that's fully evil or fully on board with what Khonshu wants, on paper that intrigues me. The way that they set that up and introduced it in the last 15 minutes of this episode completely deflated any anticipation that I would have had. So overall, guys, I liked most of what they were going for in this show. The character, the idea of Moon Knight, I really enjoy. I thought Oscar Isaacs was great. I thought Ethan Hawke was great, although his character did not match his acting ability. But by the end of it, this had the same type of problems that I have had with every single one of these Disney Plus MCU shows. And I don't know if I'm on an island with that or not, but it just feels like this 6-episode structure, this mini-series structure that they're shoving all of these huge, larger-than-life characters into, it doesn't make sense for every single property. And until they realize that some shows make sense in short form format, some characters deserve to be on the theatrical format, and some characters deserve a full-on 10, 12 episode series like this one, I don't think that I'm going to really ever get more than an okay experience with any of these MCU shows. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this video, please check over here for a playlist on all of my MCU content, and I also did a 31 on 31, which is a big ranking video where me and some friends took all of the DCEU films and all of the MCU films and mashed them together and went head to head. So check out either of those if you're interested. Please like and share this video and hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this so you don't miss anything in the future. Thank you guys as always for watching, and remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.